Once again, you are welcome on this show. My name is Alex Abesadu Biayinko. Development issues is everybody's business. Nobody can get any meaningful development by standing on the sidelines. And that is why Ishaya and I are here asking you to get involved. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing something I consider as really very shocking. But before then, I would like to have Ishaya Ibrahim come on board to also introduce our very first guest on the show. Ishaya, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Alec. We are very privileged today to have a very well-rounded journalist with us to interrogate the issue that we'll be discussing today. Is none other but Dayo Emmanuel. Dayo has an experience covering faith, which is a religion. He has covered business. He has covered politics. He's also versatile in reporting animal issues. So he's well-rounded. And so he's very resourceful in this topic, which is should the Redeemed Christian Church of God charge attendees a fee for the use of toilet. As a ticket has been flying around the social media, and Dayo and I belong to a WhatsApp group where that has become a heated subject. And we decided, okay, let's even trash it here. Let's give it the proper focus and discussion. So, Alex, so what do you say?
Well, in fact, when you told me about this topic, it was so incredible that it took me a while to recover myself from the shock that a church would actually ask our members attending night vigil to pay to use toilet facility. I mean, I don't understand where that is coming from.
So Dayo, let's give Dayo the opportunity to help us to understand this.
Exactly.
Dayo, so take it from here. Take the floor.
Well, like Ishaya said, the ticket has been flying around, and on the ticket we saw yesterday, we saw the fee was 100 naira printed on it officially, but a handwritten 200 naira was even written, which means maybe somebody was trying to increase pay, or maybe it has even been increased, but not official. So for a congregation or for a denomination that could build a 3x3 kilometer auditorium, should also be able to build at least 100-meter toilet facility. Looking at the hundreds of thousands of participants, worshippers that are always thronging that place on the first Fridays of the month, and in this August now they are having like a few days of program. So charging for convenience for toilet facility, to me, is absurd, and is something that is so strange, because going by the normal health prescription, where an average human being is supposed to take 3 liters, between 2.5 and 3 liters of water, clean water every day. This will not make you static. This will always make you to go to urinate. And that alone is a therapy, because you have to pass urine. When you pass urine, it means your kidneys are working, and when you take enough water, you are able to wash. Apart from aiding digestion, you are able to wash off toxins from your system. So when you now have to, after taking like your 2.5 to 3 liters of water every day, and in that kind of situation, now imagine how many 200 naira you are going to pay before you leave that area. And you have to look at what is the minimum wage. You have paid to transport yourself to that place. and you are going to give offering, and you are going to feed, then you will still have to pay to use the toilet facilities. So I think this is somehow way too high a cost. The cost of worshiping God in Nigeria is going beyond what a common man will be able to face, because when it's now costly to serve God again, you see that then Nigeria will need more blessing to keep people in church.
Okay, I would like to do a follow-up question to that, Isha. Just hold your thoughts a little bit. I would like to ask a question to enable us really put this in perspective, right? The facility, is it within the church premises, or is it that the church doesn't have such facility and people have to, there's a facility built up in a different place away from the church that people have to go there to use? Is such facility built in the church and they are charging for that? And if yes, is it a particular church in Lagos there, or it's a nationwide affair?
Okay. I perceive you've not been to the redemption camp lately.
No, I haven't.
Redemption camp. Okay. Maybe we have to give a real situation report of what is happening. A redemption camp is a camp, like it is called. It's a very big place. It's a place of worship. There are estates within the camp. There are estates. There are even churches. There are redeemed churches within the camp, and there's a lot of facility. I think the Redeemers University kicked off from there to tell you how massive the place is. So the place of worship where people gather to worship there hosts people from all over the world. Every first Friday of the month is the Holy Ghost night, where people go from all over Nigeria and even, I can tell you, all over the world. That place hosts crowd, and there are even facilities. There are hotels facilities. There are something close to a 3-star hotel in that place, which is called the International Center, where it's a very big place that can take international tourists, international guest artists. You know, it's a city on its own. It's a city on its own. Then there are hostels. There are hostels with free toilets. There are hostels with free toilets. But I think having to cope with the crowd, having to cope with several hundreds of thousands of people in a sitting will overstretch whatever toilet facilities they have. That's why they have to make do with alternative toilet facilities, which are handled by private organizations, private bodies within the church, which now cost something to maintain. So on the other hand, when we have to look at it in perspective, and we have to really understand what is going on there, one of our members on a WhatsApp group that Ishaya and I belong to was on ground this morning, and he gave another situation report. He was able to go around and to tell us that actually the toilet facilities attached to each hostels, those ones are free, but from the hostel to the arena, that's what it is called, the arena, it's quite some distance. In fact, there are times that you have to board vehicles from the hostel to the arena. I think one of these days when you are in Lagos, Ishaya and I can conduct you around the redemption camp. It's a very big place, and when you worship there in the night, the toilet facilities from the hostel where you lodge may be very far from the arena. So I think that's why some mobile toilets are put in place to assist people to use themselves. So I think that is just the length and breadth of why some of those toilet facilities are going for that fee. But my own personal argument is that when we build a gigantic structure like that, toilet facilities should not be an afterthought. You already know how many chairs you have put in place. You know several hundreds of thousands of chairs that you have in place. You know large screens, giant screens that are all over the auditorium for people, because from the back to the front is quite some distance. It's massive. This auditorium is 3 by 3 kilometers, to tell you how big it is. So from getting to one point to the other point, you cover that 3 kilometers. So it's a very big place, and I think that's the reason for those alternative toilets different from those of the hostels, which are far away. So my argument, like I said earlier, is that facilities like that should be accompanied by commensurate number of toilet facilities, which should not be far away. So if the system can consider putting toilet facilities in place, I think there will not be need for any private toilets, which will now cost people to use.
Okay. Yeah, Ishaya, let's have your thoughts on
this. I don't
this.
like us to argue left and right.
Thank you so much, Dayo. You really put a lot of context to this discussion. Let me also add that facility is bigger than many villages. We are talking about 3 by 3 kilometers. So that's a massive space of land that we're talking about. So,
yes. And that's just a segment of that camp. And that's just a segment of that camp. Just one facility.
Yes. So the argument that people could actually access a free toilet at the hostel, it's actually not an argument, because how many people can walk that distance, or you have to pay another? So that's where your argument about the cost of worshiping God in Nigeria is becoming very high. So that's one. And secondly, they say the average attendance in Redeem, that monthly convention, which holds every first Friday of the month, is about 1 million people. I think it's exaggerated, but let's assume that it is almost close to that. That's a huge crowd there. So when you are making a provision that over 1 million people are likely going to converge in this facility, there ought to have been an initial idea that how do we also build enough toilet facilities so that everybody will have. There's a reason why they call it convenience. Convenience means that when you are pressed, you don't have to be very uncomfortable when using toilet. And I want to also say that we're using this as a basis to argue that many public facilities in Lagos also lack facilities, not just churches. So many restaurants, what is it called? Mall, shopping mall, filling stations. You'll be surprised that many of them don't have enough. If they have, maybe one. And then they expect tens and hundreds of people to come to that facility. So my position is that the government ought to have a policy where any building without adequate toilet facilities to cover the number of persons that are expected to be at any building at any time should be sealed. Think about women. You know, the men can actually have some shortcuts to empty their bladder. Think about women. You know, you put them in a very difficult situation. They will be the ones to be coughing out that money. And let me just round up by saying that I saw on the ticket, because it was just the last event that held last Friday, that the ticket is started.
It's ongoing.
Oh, it's already ongoing.
An
event is still ongoing. Okay. Exactly. So it's a
convention. Convention is always happening.
Yes, it's actually a mobile toilet. So for those who don't understand, this mobile toilet is that it can be moved from one location to another location. and then whatever that is collected inside can be disposed of. So it costs a lot of money to actually make that kind of arrangement. But that's also a major business for whoever that is in charge, because if you saw in that ticket, it was 100 naira before. All of a sudden, it moved to 200. They used hand to correct it, 200. So somebody would have run the mathematics in his brain that if we can get up to 1,000 people to use this facility, this is how much we're likely to make. We're likely to make 1 million naira. Let's make it 200 so that we can make 200K, 2 million naira. So that's how people take it. And you cannot operate a mobile toilet there without the approval of the church. Even though some people have argued that no, it's a private concern, you cannot enter that facility without. And before they give you
if you look at the ticket, the ticket has the logo of the church.
Completely, yes. So he appears to be endorsed by the church.
Well,
all right, Alex, so we'll take a shot at it.
The point is, whether or not it is approved by the church, Mr. Dayo has made a very, very important comment by even bringing the health aspect to the whole issue. And you also said, Shaya, that is why it is called a convenience. I cannot imagine, for instance, you staying in a house without convenience. You know, it just doesn't work that way. And if people who do not have that amount of money, some people come to church, they don't even have a kobo in their pocket. Some of them are coming to God to see how, they can have spiritual intervention to their issues. So it's not everybody that comes there that can afford 100 naira or 200 naira. So if that kind of person attends a program like this and maybe he's forced to withhold this, it can cause infections. And that alone is a problem. So just as we said, it is important if the church can afford to build a facility that can, host 1 million people for a program. A thought as to convenience should have been one of the first things to consider. Just as anything else, that people that would attend this program would need to use convenience. So it's just considerate, or is a right. Let me even put it that way. Is the right of every member that is coming for that program to be able to use the convenience without any extra burden on such individual. So I don't think it's a way to go. I think the church should look at that, and I agree with Isha that the government should come up with a policy. That is if such policy is not in place already. Because the funny thing with Nigeria is that we have so many very good policies, but the problem is implementation. So I will not be surprised if there's a policy concerning that. Just as you said in Lagos,
okay,
there are many organizations or businesses that don't have toilet facilities. It's the same thing in Abuja here. You will see a massive plaza, and then you just go behind, you see people urinating there. So you wonder, maybe there's convenience, but it's not enough. So you see, somebody will not want to go and wait for one person to do and go out, and then he looks for the closest way to go and ease himself.
Dayo has some insight on in terms of policy. But Dayo, let's hear you on the policies that Lagos used to have on this.
I remember during the administration of the former governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Fashola, there was a policy that every public building, including filling stations, restaurants, malls, must have an extra toilet for public use. So when you are pressed, you can easily drive into a filling station and ask for their toilet and use it and go. But recently, I don't know what has become of that policy, because I remember there was a time a colleague and I were waiting for a taxi. We had a program at school. We were waiting for a taxi at Oka, and we stayed at Tantalizers, and he wanted to use the convenience. And he got there, he discovered that the place was under lock. And we went to tell the management that they have to open that place for this one to. They were now saying that since you did not buy anything, that they cannot open that place for the public. Then we took them up. And luckily, the program has to do with open defecation and all that. So we took them up, and the manager had to explain. Though he eventually opened it reluctantly, but he was explaining that they pay taxes to Lagos State government, and they should not be the one to now be running a public toilet, free public toilets for people who are not patronizing them. So, we're trying to balance the two equations. When you come in, you buy, even if it's a bottle of water, then that can give you an access into using their toilet, which negates the initial policy. So these are things I think journalists should look into, especially at a time when Lagos State is campaigning to free the state of open defecation. The Lagos State cannot be totally open defecation free when there are no toilets. You mentioned that Nigeria, we have a lot of good policies, but the enforcement, the implementation is it's lacking. So I don't know what has become of the policy by former Governor Abatunde Fashola, because when you get to a mall or a market or a restaurant, toilet facilities are always looking like an afterthought. Even where they have toilets, you see one tiny something, sometimes without water, sometimes it's absurd. So that may be one of the reasons that church, though the church is in Ogun State, now in trying to control the crowd and in trying to control sanitation, they had to just make that in place. That is just an easy way out for them, which should not be. Somebody who has built a 3-kilometer long auditorium should at least be able to afford 100 as facilities. So the policy should cut across not only Lagos State. So because when you look at things generally, when you travel around states, you see that Lagos State is far ahead of what Lagos State is really working when it comes to some policies, and the handlers of Lagos, they are on ground. They are doing enough because of implementation that you mentioned the other time. So I think that's the perspective that we can also do.
Okay, let me just give my closing thought because I think we're running out of time.
Exactly.
Let me just say that the Redeemed Church should reconsider that decision. That's going to cost a lot of inconvenience for so many people who throng to that place every first Friday of the month to seek God's intervention. Just to put in context that people have actually been paying to use the toilet facilities at that place. I did some Googling and I saw that as far back as 2009, it used to be about 20 naira. So what inflation is all about. So people should not pay to use toilet in church. They give offerings for God's sake, and you collect their tithes. And then there are people who are willing to volunteer for all kinds of things in the church. The church is a place that you can get almost 50% of the members to volunteer for anything. And because the assumption is that once you volunteer, God prioritizes your problem. So they are not short of people who work in the education department and things. So that's a very horrible idea. If you have the resources to build 3-kilometer by 3-kilometer church auditorium, I accurately said 100 meters should have been spared for toilets. I mean, that's just a common sense. All right, go ahead, Alex.
All right, I want to thank you, Ishaya Ibrahim and Mr. Dayo Emmanuel for being on the show tonight. As we said, get involved. Don't just sit on the sidelines when something is going wrong in the society, in the community. Make your own contributions. Say what is right at all times with no fear or favor. If you are here for the first time, kindly subscribe, share, and let's get the country moving forward and Africa. Thank you so much for being with us. Bye-bye.